but that was my first album that I purchased. I remember going to catch the bus in St. Louis to the record store.
Welcome to Message Reveal. Message Reveal identifies a vibe, a message, or a story told through lyrics of a song. And you guys, if you rock with me every week, you know what I do and how I do. I tell you something about our special guest. So let's get down to business so I can tell you who our special guest is this week. Well, one, as of December 2025, he's opened up a new 41,000 square feet library in West Las Vegas. He also oversees 25 library branches in Las Vegas, Clark County. And last but not least, he's leveraged technology to bridge the digital divide. You guys, please put your hands together and welcome the Las Vegas Clark County Library Executive Director, Mr. Kelvin Watson.
All
How
right,
are you, sir?
I'm doing well. And yourself?
I am doing good. Thank you. As I say to all my people for taking time on your busy Friday to say yes to me, I appreciate you.
All right. I'm looking forward to it.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. So let's just get down to business. Let's talk about you being a librarian. Um, that's a journey that quite often a lot of us don't show up in. So, can you give me the impetus or the background of how you became a librarian to begin with?
So I became a librarian after working initially in the book business. I worked for a book distributor, and I say that I was reintroduced to libraries, which is, getting back in, learning more about libraries, thinking about libraries a little differently from when I was growing up and or when I was in college. And so that reintroduction led me to not only fulfill, what I was doing working, but also to later pursue my own library degree. So I do have a master's of library science, and has also led me to work at the national level at the National Agricultural Library, and now my third public library. So Las Vegas, I've worked in Broward County, Florida, as the as the library division director there, and I worked at the Queens Library in New York, where I held numerous roles over the 5 year period there, but my last role was as chief operating officer for that library.
Oh, wow. Wow. So, as you're going along through this journey, I'm just going to dig a little deeper. What was that one moment to say? I know you gave me that big picture, but what was that one moment to say, I'm going to lock in and really pursue this avenue that's not often pursued by individuals that look like you and I?
Yeah, I think there were several pieces that made me lock in. One, when I was reintroduced to the profession, I saw that there was a large contingent of African American librarians. So I was introduced to the Black Caucus of the American Library Association in 1999, actually here in Las Vegas, and while attending a conference, and we there was probably 1,000 plus people in attendance. And so I was here selling books to them. And after meeting several of the members, that we've become friends now, but they had become my mentors over the years. And so that was one. I also went on to become the president. I'm not quite sure how to help you with that. Of that organization. And then I served on committees before I became a librarian. So I just worked with this organization and served. And so what I ultimately, decided and thought about was like, this is a way for me to serve my community, serve our communities, but also connect with people and partnerships, and thinking of libraries as a business. So it wasn't that I really changed my thought process. What I feel is that I've brought my thought process to the profession.
I like that. I like that. You've brought your thought process to the profession. And I think that's a wonderful way for anybody that's seeking someone to come into their organization is because they're looking for a different perspective. And you have definitely brought that to Las Vegas in many avenues. We will touch more about one of the examples that
Okay.
I identified that you have brought into fruition. But before we do that, we got to talk about music.
All right.
Music has turned me all the way out in such an amazing way. I love music. It can be my counselor, it can encourage me, it can hype me up, all those great things. So I say all of that to say, can you identify a song that has provided either lessons, blessings, or distractions? Now, before you answer, it's a couple of rules to this, sir.
Okay.
If you can sing,
All right.
I need you to sing your throat box out. I want to hear
But only if I can play the music and sing along with it. But
it.
but I thought about this a little bit, and um I recently was interviewed as part of a recognition that I received as the 2026 Librarian of the Year.
Yes.
And as I reflected on uh, the things that were being written or the questions I was being asked, um, the song that I would say, that resonates there and what I've done in my work is actually something I grew up listening to, the Staple Singers, Let's Do It Again. So
Mm.
I and so one of the things that I do as a library leader or as a leader in general is I don't change the way that I approach things. So I do it again. I do it again and again and again and again. And so people will ask me about all the awards and recognitions, and I just keep doing it. I just keep doing it again. And I look forward to doing it again. And that's probably what doesn't stop me from uh, having any type of boundaries or anything that kind of just says, you can't do something. If you're already going into a situation knowing that you can do this over and over and over and over again, regardless of where you are, that's a key thing to take away.
Well, listen, I love that. Basically, you're saying there's no glass ceilings where you're at. You're going to keep going and doing that. And we need to see that. We need to throw this old, antiquated paradigm where it is glass ceilings. And we need to have individuals like you so our younger ones and our babies can see, like, you can keep going and do it again and do it again. And really, the reality is, if we think about it, our ancestors did it again in spite of. They did it again in spite of the situation or what was done. So that falls within our DNA. That's the way I look at it.
I share the same, sentiments. Nothing is impossible. You are the only person, as an individual, who can stop you from being whatever it is you want to achieve.
Yeah, yeah, I definitely agree with that. So we're going to just reverse. You mentioned, and I was going to mention about this award. So let's talk about this award. First of all, let me say congratulations
Thank
for this award and how often that this award is not given out to individuals that look like you and I. And I keep saying that because I want people not to discredit anybody because I have friends of all nationalities. I say I try the spirit by the spirit. But for this time, we want to highlight why this is so important. So tell us a little bit about this award and congratulations again.
well, thank you. This award is given by an organization. They're actually the library journal. So the library journal is like the first and pretty much the only remaining magazine that supports librarianship. So I forget how old it is, but it's as old as the American Library Association, which dates back to the late 1800s. So it's been around that long as a publication. But the thing about this award, when it comes to African Americans, people, people of color in particular, I am the third one to receive it, and the first African American male to receive it.
Oh,
So
wow.
that says a lot about the about the award. Not really given out to. So there's only one library journal. There's a school library journal one as well, but for the library journal, which recognizes public librarians, academic librarians, and folks from the field, it's a recognition. It's the one of the highest recognitions you can receive in our profession.
Wow. Well, I think it's a wonderful way to set examples and give other individuals that are in the field or thinking about to go into the field that say, listen, if he did it, I can do it too, you know? So,
Yeah,
again, congratulations. And this just happened, what, this month?
January January 5th.
Okay. Awesome. Awesome. So let's talk about the reason why I mentioned earlier about the digital divide, something that before I actually had the opportunity to talk to you that I thought it was wonderful. I went into Doolittle Recreation Center and off to the side, I was talking to the coordinator there and I'm talking to her and I'm peeping out the corner of my eye. I said, is that a new drink dispenser? And she's like, no, no, this is our book dispenser that the library put in. I was like, wow, let me go over and see. And she kind of walked me through how it works. And the reason why I'm bringing this up, I think it is always very necessary that we get to have the same things that everybody else has. And I thought it was wonderful that you made Doolittle, which we know that is the heart of so many things. You made that the site that had the opportunity to have this wonderful book. I don't even know the proper name. You can talk about the proper name, but you know what I'm referencing to,
Yeah,
correct?
yeah, yeah. Yes.
And this was a couple of years ago. I'm thinking maybe 7 years ago, 5, 7 years ago.
Yeah. So what those are those are book uh vending machines or
Okay,
lending machines. So if you think about um a, a product that used to be on like 7-Eleven parking lots and grocery store parking lots, for example, the red box. So think of it as a library specific red box. So that way, you can not, you don't have to just go into the library, the physical library building, as libraries have transitioned to not just be a standalone building, but we also are located throughout our community in different ways, right? Similarly to the access to digital resources. So we have, for example, you mentioned the book lending machine. We have one at the Boulevard Mall. So if you know that mall, was one of, as I understood it, the first kind of the first mall in Las Vegas, right? But now with things changing and it's not what it used to be, right?
correct.
But there are people that still go there. There's still people that go to the movies there, and we have a book lending machine there that's serving that community. Even though we have a physical building probably less than 5 miles away, right? And people can borrow as well as return to those machines. We also have one at the Sunrise Hospital in the children's waiting room. Different model, different. But if you think about going to a hospital, sitting in the waiting room, most of the time there's nothing to do. So a lot of what I think about, are really common common sense almost, or things that can say, hey, I went to the barbershop and there's a collection of books in the barbershop, but there's also a QR code for you to download um, magazines, right? We've all been, at least I think most of us, we've all been to. When I was growing up, I remember going to the barbershop and that same old Ebony was there, right? Or the same with the beauty salon, or the same thing with the doctor's office. You know, when
Mhm.
you went to the doctor's office, they had those same, and everybody's picking them up, using them, spreading the germs. Now you don't have to do that. You can download a QR, use a QR code and download your own magazines to your phone. Same, so it's different. It's just bringing, you know, thoughtfulness
Mhm.
to what we're doing.
I love the layers. I'm a big proponent. I became a single mother when my children were very young, even though my ex-husband and I did, you know, back and forth with the children. But one of the things that was really a big deal for us up into the pandemic, every other weekend we would go to the library and participate in multiple things, whether it was classes, whether you're just purchasing a book. And the library has so many avenues to support individuals. And even now with technology, you don't have to go actually to the library. You can use an app and still have access to many things. Now, I'm about community, so I think it's great when you can go and interact and have that social component, which is so necessary. But I think what you have done with the digital access is phenomenal. And thank you for doing that.
Welcome. Yeah, I think, I look at it from this perspective, and that is, the we have a diverse community, and so we have
Yes.
to think about serving in a diverse manner, right? We have to think about sharing information in a diverse manner. So, and with technology, that libraries are 24/7. We have you can interact with the library on your own terms. That's how I view it, right? If you don't want to go, fine. If you're not a social person, you can, download, download the digital version. But we also have a program where we will actually mail physical books to people. So we have a mail a book program. So if you are still doing physical and you are unable to, unable or unwilling to come to the library, we'll mail the books to you as well.
And that's again, I love the fact that it's multiple levels to serve multiple people. As you said, I'm a native of Las Vegas, and yes, we've always been very diverse with multiple different ethnic groups. And again, it may be someone that simply had a disability and they cannot come out, and the mailing would be perfect for them. So, again, kudos to you for thinking, I won't say outside of the box, just thinking beyond the box, okay?
Yeah, I mean, and it is, some of this is unique to Vegas. A lot of our services are unique to Vegas, but what I'll also plug is all my other library colleagues around the country who also we have similar type services. So, I was doing mail a book in New York. I was doing it in Florida. So, and a lot of these things were already in place and have been in place for many, 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 many years. So we have, replicated, duplicated, and we've launched our own unique services as well.
Well, one thing I do want to piggyback off that you said they have been in rotation for years, but a lot of times we didn't know about that. I'm gonna be very honest. I was always physically going in to grab things over time, or if you have PSAs, you find out about these other additional options. So I think these conversations continue to need to be had so individuals know that it is more than one option available to secure a book or to participate in a community where books and things are a high love. So again, thank you.
Yeah, it's what I'll add to that, Alima, is that marketing, communication, and sharing has been one of the things that we've done a lot better at in the past 5 years. And we're going to continue to do that. But that's one of the things that we've really focused on throughout the community, right? Go to the airport. We've got signage in the airport, Harry Reid Airport, talking about the library. Go around and look at some of the bus shelters. The library is being advertised in, but not throughout the entire community, right? And so it's those things that we've and more that we've actually done. I don't know if you knew this or know this, that we actually had an RTC bus that was actually wrapped, wrapped like the library. And so that's the thing, that shares the love of libraries. We actually, up until this year, which something we started a few years ago while I was here, we were offering "I Love My Library" license plates. And so I mentioned that because as I was driving in today, I was driving behind somebody that had a "I Love My Library" license plate. And you know what, for me, um, when have the opportunity to actually see things that I've led, implemented, that just, when I first saw that bus and, on the route, I just happened to be driving down the street. It's like, oh, that's something that I helped implement, lead, have discussions with RTC about. And, that just brings pride to me, and wants me to continue to do things.
Yes, as you said, let's do it again.
Do it again.
So, with that being said, I'm going to take you, let's just turn the tables just a little. And I want you to think back to your childhood. And I want you to think about a time that maybe you received some money for cleaning up or Christmas or doing something over abundance, because the majority of our household, you had to clean up anyway. You weren't getting paid to clean up.
Yeah. Right.
So I say all of that. Can you identify a song that you had the opportunity or a artist to purchase on your own? Like nobody influenced you. You like, yes, I'm getting that. Can you tell me a song?
I can tell you a song. I can tell you probably the whole album. Man, so Cool It Now. So I was um, that New Edition album with them on the front of the album, kids just, in the same age. I'm telling my age, but the same age bracket as, they're just a few years older than me, like literally a few years older than me. But that was my first album that I purchased. I remember going to catch the bus in St. Louis to the record store, and purchasing that, and then playing it on the record player with my sister, my younger sister, and my younger cousin. Uh, I think my younger brother, he was old enough then, and I have an aunt that's younger than me as well. So we were New Edition. I don't know what that, and Mr. Telephone Man, and just the whole album. Like I don't know what happened to that album, but that's the first one I ever purchased.
All right. I love that you brought up Mr. Telephone Man. There's something wrong with my line. When I dial my baby's number, I get
Click every time.
Mr. Telephone Man. Something's wrong with my line.
Yeah, I mean, so you mentioned that, so that I just was talking about this with my sister a few weeks ago when the concert was here in Vegas.
Right on, yes. New Edition, they are definitely, they'll never go out of style. I know you know Pastor Kelsey West,
I do. He's like he's the extra. What does he call himself? The
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 fifth
extra
member of
member.
Six.
Yes, I do. I do. But it's just you know, you mentioned that, and like I said, I was probably, wow, I had to be in like the sixth or seventh grade, probably something like that. I can't remember where I got the money. I either got the money for Christmas, maybe got the money. We used to earn money as quote unquote earn shoveling snow uh,
Mm.
or collecting aluminum cans or something like that. So I got the money from somewhere.
Well, listen, you got the money and you pick what's right. Come on, Mr. Telephone Man, or we'll just say New Edition.
No,
So
yeah, cool it now. Just looking at the video. That's when the videos were all good, and we had. This is even before MTV were doing videos. I like they had. I think it was. I can't think of the video show that used to come
Friday
on and
night videos.
yeah, Friday. Yeah, yeah. It was. But it was. They had Friday night, Saturday night. I remember the whole weekend. And then just, that's what we used to do. Be home and doing that stuff. Kids don't know
Yes.
anything about that stuff.
Now you sounding old when you say kids don't know nothing about that.
Don't
But
know anything
here's the
about
real reality. When you say that, they are now going in and doing a deep dive, and they are now referencing to and using the music from 20, 30 years ago. So it is now the current music because they're going back and they're repurposing or rehashing it.
it. Right. But that's 40 years ago what we're talking about, right? Cool
Oh,
New
what's
Edition.
okay? Now you started something. But it's still relevant to this day.
Oh
How
yeah,
about that?
it is. It is definitely. And my
So,
daughter buys albums, by the way, or I buy her albums.
oh,
So
nice.
she is into albums. My youngest daughter. So yeah.
I am too. I love albums. So, shout out to her for choosing to get albums.
Yes.
So, let's just talk about you being in the Army Reserve and the Army. And the
Mhm.
reason why I brought this up, how does that time in the Army or Army Reserve have benefited you throughout your life and even currently now, if that's not too much for you?
No, it's just fine. So I have two stories about the Army, and one the Army Reserves. So I joined the Army Reserves initially as a junior in high school on the delayed entry program.
Mm.
So I went to basic training the summer between my junior and senior year of high school. So I was 17. And spent 8 weeks at Fort Sill, Oklahoma, and I was a private E2. So I actually had some rank, not a lot, but I had a little bit of rank based on based on my academics and things that I was doing in high school. So I came back from basic training to finish my senior year of high school. Was in an Army Reserve unit, so I actually used to go to drill. Was of course the youngest person, not only in my basic training unit, but at that point the youngest person in my reserve unit as well. And I was approached by my recruiter, actually, who had recruited me into the reserves to apply for an Army ROTC scholarship. So I
Mm.
applied for that scholarship along with other academic scholarships, and I also received some football scholarships, small schools, but some football scholarships or some funds. I went with the Army ROTC scholarship because it covered everything, and room, board, tuition, books, all of
Oh,
that.
nice.
And so I went on that scholarship to a historically black college and university. So I'll mention that Lincoln University in Missouri, where that institution was actually started by former Civil War soldiers, African American, but also by a white Army officer as well.
Hmm.
So that's where I went to college and went through ROTC. So I got to do both college and military experience at the same time. Unlike the academies, but I had really had a life. I enjoyed the college experience, and then when I graduated, I was um, and I received a commission as a second lieutenant in the Army. So I actually served on active duty for a few years as an infantry officer. And then when I finished a couple of years, I went back into the reserves now as a first lieutenant. I was a first lieutenant when I did that process. So how did that shape me? Um, so I mentioned both of those experiences because they both allowed me to have two views of the military. One as a private and enlisted, and then I also have that experience as an officer. So when I became an officer, I remembered, of course, being a private, and now I have these privates under me that I was leading, and so that was one, right? So it gives you some humbleness, at least for
Mm,
me, that I recognize where people, not just because of where I grew up and how I grew up, that also brings humbleness as well, but that piece of the military brings it also, right? So I see things, I at least try to see things from um, the lowest level of the organization all the way up, and then just the leadership uh, skills and the opportunities that I had to lead and learn in the military just taught me a lot of things. And it humbles you, like I said, provides you with some deference also, right? Because you got officers over you, and you got to follow you got to do what they say. At least if you want to stay around, right? Um, but it builds character, strength, communication, right? I mean, so as you've gotten to know me and see me over the past few years, right? I've I've come up through things and learned things, and still willing to learn, and that's what the military taught me also.
yes, yes, definitely. You definitely stuck around, even through maybe some questionings here and there. You definitely stuck around. So kudos to you. Okay, we
Thank
need
you.
somebody with broad shoulders.
Yeah, and that's the resilience and the you know, it makes. I just told somebody this the other day about being resilient and saying, in the end, when there is adversity, things coming at you. Actually, that's when I personally double down. I mean,
Mm,
I'm gonna be really. If I was wavering at all during that time, is when I'm gonna be 10 toes down, ready to fight, ready to do what I need to do to overcome that issue, or whatever I'm dealing with.
yeah, definitely that we've had a side conversation regarding that. And again, that's why I was like, you stuck through. And that's again, whether you know somebody is watching you or not, that's still what needs to be done because somebody can take that inspiration and go, he did it. I can as well. So
Yep. Yep.
so we're gonna go back to music again.
All
Music
right.
is what I love.
Okay. Okay.
So
Okay. I gotta give me another song real quick. Okay. Go ahead.
so let's think about this. You know, we all have our challenges, and we just got through discussing how sometimes you may have some challenges here and there, and you double down. You stay, and you're like, "Hey, I know I'm in this area of challenges, but I'm not going to give up." With that being said, can you identify a song when you are challenged, when your spirit is a little low? And we've all been there. Nobody is immune from that.
Oh wow.
What song can you use or play to pull your spirit
Wow. I got a whole lot of them. But
up?
one that helped me um a few years ago was and is by Marvin Sapp, and it's Lord, send your anointing here. So that's
Mm,
one, right? That's one. And man, I got there's another one that by the Williams brothers that is also that I feel like pressing on. So it's like
mm,
what we just talked about, right? So though that's just a couple. I've got a whole bunch of them, but those are two that kind of um, a few years ago when I was in Florida, and I certainly still have them on my playlist, which is what I'm looking down for this so I could pull up a couple. Um, they really kind of if you think if you I don't know if you ever heard the Marvin Sapp song before, but it's really about faith and perseverance and when so you got to listen to the words. I may play a little bit if you want me to, but it's kind of like the like here's what I'm dealing with, but I'm gonna do this, and Lord, send your anointing here to help me through it. But I understand that fear. I'm not gonna mess. Fear is one thing, but I've got so much faith that I'm gonna keep driving, and that's what it says. It says let fear and doubt, basically let fear and doubt get out of here.
Yes, yes.
And I think if I look back on my life, I have probably very little fear. That's probably why I've moved around so many times. I've taken different positions. I've taken positions that I didn't even know what I was doing, but I took the job anyway, and did well at it. And and then I feel like pressing on, right?
Yes.
So we're like on those days that like I have so much pressure and so many things going on, but I'm going to keep pressing on. I'm going to keep pressing on, um, because I you talked about our ancestors, right? they they had to keep pressing on, right? And so who am I not to do the, who am I not to do the same?
Yeah, yeah, that's a great point. That you can use something inspirational to keep you moving forward. And I think we all have our particular songs or our particular sayings to keep us pushing forward. But I just wanted to acknowledge that because a lot of times we talk about the good times, which is great. But we also have to understand that those challenges are there. And how do you maneuver? How do you go around it? How do you go on top of it and keep going in spite of? And that's a great song. So thank you for that.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. There's so many. There's so many. I'm looking at my list. I'm like, God can, man, Stand By Me. I don't know if you heard of any of these, but they're, those. You know, I'm a very, I don't know. I guess I can say I'm very spiritual, but I listen to these. I listen to music as well. So you talked about loving music. I listen to music, and what I listen for, I love a good beat certainly, but if I can get the words and really take the words and really process them,
Mm-hmm.
um, like how can I like I'm one of the songs I'm listening to that I like now, and I'm just on the radio, and it's the Ti song, the T, I, and it's what he's saying, right? And then I'm relating that to something I'm dealing with or my life or something that I just got through or where I'm headed. And yeah, so that's what I do with songs and music as well.
Yeah, definitely that. Like I said, therapist, counselor, encouragement, and let's be real. You heard the beat of Ti song first, and that got your attention,
It
right?
did. The beat was interesting because I'm like, I don't listen to as much of the rap stuff as I used. I just that's not just that's my thing. I'm more of a Curtis Mayfield.
Okay.
No, that's my vibe.
Yes.
So but I will if something like that comes on, like, oh yeah, that's good. And the beat is good. And the beat is
Yes.
good.
Yes. So you bobbing your head, you like, hey.
In the car. Definitely.
Yes, for sure. Well, The biggest thing that I want to talk about, and I want to say the best for last, is when I mentioned at the very beginning about this 41,000 square feet library that you open up on December the 9th. Beautiful program. And let's just talk about a little bit of the process to get it started, and what did you think about that final showcase day?
So the process to get that library started before I took the job, actually. So the process started when I came to Vegas for the job interview, and as part of my visit here, I went to two branch libraries outside of the library where we did the interview. So we did the interviews at our Sahara West library. Very nice library.
Yes, yes.
Um, but I was encouraged to go visit the East Las Vegas library. So I went to the East Las Vegas library that was built in 2019, right in the midst of COVID when things were shutting down. So still, another beautiful library, right? Beautiful
Absolutely.
library. Love what was done uh, with it. And then I went not far away to the West Las Vegas library on Lake Mead, and I pulled into the what I now, of course, know was the not the library parking lot, but the art center parking lot. There ain't no parking. Right? So that was the first thing, right? I pull in and I walk in to the lobby, and you can pretty much see the whole library from the lobby. And I just said, "Wow, this is what our community gets." And I say "our" because you know I own it as an African American black man coming from a similar type community, growing up in a similar type community in West St. Louis. So you
Hmm.
probably remember, yeah, I said during the opening when, that no, I'm not from here, but I'm from here.
Yes.
So so that started then, and when I arrived as library director and took the position, we tried to do some things with that old building. For example, we expanded the computers. There were 12 computers when I started, and we expanded it to like 30. So we changed the adult area, we opened it, expanded it. We put in a teen space in that building as well, right? Teens had their own space. We carved out what we could, but knowing that you can only do so much with a building that's already, as they're not making any more land. They weren't making no more land, right? So
Sure.
we had to do what we had to do with that building. But at the same time, there were conversations as part of the 100 Plan in Action, which actually mentioned that a new library in the West Side. And so conversations with former city councilman Cedric Creer, we looked at some land for a potential library, which was right behind the FBI building, right by Legacy Park. Right, that was the initial piece of property that was offered, which was too small, uh, which was not much bigger than where we were moving from. Right, so we I won't say we rejected that land, but we had during our meetings the land that had been previously allocated had come available, which now is where the new library sits on MLK. So all happenstance, there was not a real plan for that building to come, to be open. Um, we broke ground on that. We broke ground 2 years ago, February 24th. February 24th, 2024, broke ground, and there's a library there today, right? Um, so, people ask me questions all the time about the mountainous views. When we selected that land, or when I selected it, I'll say that I didn't I didn't look at I didn't know anything about the views. I didn't know but I'm gonna say that the views and how the building and all of that is being done, I'm gonna give that all kudos to Mel Green for the architects figuring that out and
Yes.
making that happen, right? That was not that because I didn't notice that. All I knew was that we were getting 5.25 acres of land for a bigger, better library that would have parking now for people. That would be something that I envision would be uh, much better than any library that was in the system. And my goal is always to do things not just mediocre, but to be the best library in the country. That's how I went into it, and the team all worked together from the West Las Vegas staff, other staff as part of our team here, the architects, their teams, my influence. So it's a it's a combination of looking at what was done at East Las Vegas and saying, okay, where could we have done better? And we actually had these meetings and went through the list of things at East and said, what can we do better for this building? That was part of the process. When you go in there and you see the cubicles and the study rooms and areas, those have been influenced by UNLV Blackfire, for example. So lots of different influences went into that building, including other libraries around the country. Things we had already been doing, like the digital memories preservation lab. We had already had four of those already in the system. People like we opened those up when I got here. Um, because we did this. I did one of those in Florida,
Mm.
which was actually based on the library in Florida being part of a national grant where digital memory preservation labs were being put in place. We just did it on our own here in Vegas. So now I think that's I want to say our fifth one. But again, different influences from my my 30-year career now or so, as well as what's happening in libraries, what's happening in communities, all went into that building.
Yeah.
So I hope I answered the question. I know I did, but I gave you a little bit more, so a little bit more context.
No, no, we needed to know this, and I think this needs to be noted. So 20 years down the line, when they can talk about the things, like for example, we'll go to the first library on the historic West Side was on D Street, is now actually the Muhammad's Mosque or the Nation of
The Moss.
Islam Mosque, but
Mm-hmm.
that was on D Street, and I think it was 1973
Yep,
when that.
1973.
Yes, and that was really Ruby Duncan was very instrumental with encouraging that. And then I remember when the West Las Vegas Library years ago, and I tell you what, it was the premier place to, and right next door having the theater. And now I feel like this is the next step to evolve to a higher level. So I had the wonderful opportunity to interview Mel Green, and before even the interview. I had the opportunity to go through and see the library in the bare bones. And you're right about the view. I love it. Being a native of Las Vegas, I was like, wow. And again, you say you didn't plan for it, but somebody above you.
Yeah, it happened, right? The
Yes,
skyline view, and I mean, it just all. It, I live sometimes and will say everything happens for a reason.
yes,
You're at a place, a space in time when you're supposed to be in that space and place in time.
yes,
It was already ordained, as they would say, for that to happen. For you to meet people when you were supposed to meet people, right? And have those, connections and or not have those connections, right?
yeah.
Everything happens for for a reason.
Well, I definitely know that view is something special, and for it to be so, it's almost you get to you have to go there. So I encourage anybody, don't take my word, don't take his word. Go and you can see what it provides. And it really is breathtaking. With, again, another thing being a Las Vegas native, I tell people all the time, and you may know now since you've been here for years, that our mountains are picturesque and it's something to behold. So it really showcased not only the mountains, but different areas of town. So
Mhm.
again, it was somebody above you that put that in motion, because you could have actually said okay to the original lot, and that was not the case. So we're really thankful for this beautiful piece of property that is now the new West Side Library, and it has so many things. So we would be here all day if we talked about all the things that is offered and has been fully activated already. So I would encourage people, just go support and just really indulge in what it offers.
Yeah, take advantage of your library. I'm every time I'm there, um, I'm still in awe and will probably be in awe. Um, Again, just to be a part of the, you know, and you see how I'm saying it, right? Just to be a part of it, right? I know what my role was, and I know what my role is, but I was just a part of it, right?
Yeah.
There's so many others that that were a part of making it happen. And of course, the staff and the team there, day in and day out, the connectivity that they're working and continue to work with the community is just exemplary. And people continually comment about the staff at the West Vegas Vegas Library.
Yes. Well, shout out to Miss China, that she's been in the community for years and years and years, and just really does a phenomenal job with making sure that we have that community connection. So if you don't
Mhm.
mind, I have to shout her out.
Oh yeah, and I'll shout out Lanika. I don't know if you know Lanika, so the
Yes.
branch manager, in that we've got a African American woman branch manager leading that library. She was the branch manager at the old building as well. So people will say, "Hey, did you hire new staff?" I was like, "No, we brought the same staff over. We added some additional, but it's the same. It's the same team leading and making it happen." And what I'm doing, you know, from my level is continually looking at um, bringing new services, more new services to that library, more new services to that community, so that we can really maximize the spaces inside.
Yes, I love that. I thank you for just giving us a point of reference, because, like I said, I had Mel Green on and he talked about it from his perspective, and then I wanted your perspective as well. Before we get out of here, I do have one more song, but
Oh,
let's
okay.
tell, before we even do that, sir,
All right.
let's tell anybody that would like to participate. Say it's someone new or someone outside of Las Vegas that's viewing this podcast and they want to know more about the Las Vegas Library. Can you just give them some contact or some information, social media, whatever regarding
Yeah.
that?
The first place to start is just do a search, um, thelibrarydistrict.org, thelibrarydistrict.org. That's one way to just go right to the internet. Things will pop up. You'll see videos. You'll see actually you can actually watch the new building being built. We filmed the entire process, um, so as well, and the grand opening celebration is also there. But all the things that we do, the 30,000 plus programs that we offer, our social media, of course, if you want to do the Las Vegas Clark County Library District, you can do that. Follow us on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, all of that, all of those places. Um, You can follow me, as well. Just Kelvin Watson. I'm, on Facebook. I don't really post my, my the library life. If you want to see the library life, that's what's posted. Maybe some other social things, but LinkedIn as well. And I'm on Twitter. I don't do all of them, but a few of them. So that's how you follow what's happening at the library. More and more, this library um, has been awarded the American Library Association's Library of the Future 3 years in a row, amongst other acknowledgments that the library system has received because of what we have doing, are doing, and what we plan on doing in the community.
I love it. I definitely love it. Well, before we get out of here, first of all, I do want to say I've enjoyed this time. Get a chance to just pick your brain and find out
Right.
more about this library and your journey. But this season is about discovering you. We all have to have a time where we can sit and discover things about ourselves and discard things that we no longer need. I say all that to say, can you dedicate a song to the world based off of you discovering some things about yourself that you would like to
Oh,
share?
well, I'm going to go back to the gospel. We'll go back to the gospel song, right? Something
Yes.
that has been really something I've been doing a lot last few weeks, especially, and that is "Living for You"
Mm.
by Zacardi Cortez. So
Mm.
that's what I'll say. What I, you know, that's one, of course, and then there is another one, but that one is that one's one that uh yeah, that's the one I'll go with because I think none of none of none of this happens, right? None of this happens. Good, bad. We're just living. I'm living, not just living, but I'm living, right? And but I have to be like taking things into context and saying, despite it all, uh, the things that we've accomplished as a library system here in Vegas, the things that I've accomplished um, here as well as for my life, it just goes back to keep doing that, keep remembering that who I'm living for and what I'm living for, and kind of that kind of gets me going.
I love that. I love that. Well, before we get out of here, I do talk about the journey and the destination. The journey is where we learn and where we grow, and the destination is where we celebrate. Far too often, we're in the journey and we forget about celebrating. In order for you to really accomplish these things and really feel good about it, you gotta be in the destination and celebrate. But the key to it all is not to stay too long. You got to get back into that journey so you can grow, to elevate, and then it'll be a next time you can get back into the destination and party again. I say all of that when I have my women on. I bow to them when I have the men on. I salute. So I salute you, sir.
All right, thank you.
I thank you. And I give the last words to my guests. So, last words, anything you'd like to say, go to you.
The last words are to remember that service is the rent that we pay for this living on this earth.
I love that. You know what? We couldn't end in a better way. You guys, please put your hands together and thank Mr. Kelvin Watson. And as I say to all my guests, I'll see you out here in these Las Vegas streets. And for you, it's definitely that.
For sure. All right. Take care.
Thank you.